The Fisherman and the Businessman, Rethinking Success. In a quiet coastal village nestled between the lush green mountains and the endless blue of the ocean, life moved gently, like the waves that touch the shore with no rush, no urgency. The villagers lived simply, their homes made of wood and stone, their days marked by the rising sun and the rhythm of the tides. Among them lived Matteo, a middle-aged fisherman with sun-wrinkled skin, strong arms, and kind eyes. He owned a small wooden boat, painted a fading red, and every morning, just as the horizon glowed golden, he would sail out to the sea. He never took more than he needed. A few red snappers, a basket of shrimp, maybe a grouper if he was lucky. He'd return by mid-morning, whistling an old song, barefoot on the docks, with a smile that seemed to say, "I have enough." In the afternoons, Matteo would rest in his hammock, play guitar under the shade of a mango tree, and share long laughs with his children. In the evenings, he would sip coffee with his wife, watch the sunset, and feel no weight in his heart. His life was full, not with things, but with peace. One morning, as Matteo returned from the sea, a stranger stood watching at the dock. He wore a crisp white shirt, polished leather shoes, and expensive sunglasses. His name was David, a businessman from New York City, visiting the village for a short break, though he was rarely seen resting. Even on vacation, his mind raced with numbers, strategies, and meetings. He had noticed Matteo several times, always back from fishing by 11 a.m., always relaxed. Curious, and perhaps slightly annoyed, David decided to speak with him. "You're done for the day?" he asked. Matteo nodded. "See, I caught enough." "Enough? You could stay out longer, catch more, sell more." Matteo laughed softly. "Why would I do that?" David stepped closer. "Because if you worked harder, you could buy a bigger boat. With that, you could catch more fish, hire a crew, start a business." Matteo raised an eyebrow, and then, "Well," David said, warming up, "then you could grow a fleet. Own a seafood company. Maybe even export globally. You'd become rich." Matteo smiled patiently. "And then what would I do?" David blinked. "Well, then you could retire. Move to a quiet village by the sea. Sleep in, fish a little, play music with your kids, watch sunsets with your wife." Matteo chuckled, shaking his head gently. "Senor, that's exactly what I'm doing now." David stood there, stunned, as if he had been struck by something he didn't see coming. His mouth opened, then closed again. For a long moment, he said nothing. That night, he walked along the beach, the words echoing in his mind. "That's exactly what I'm doing now." It was a simple sentence, yet it carried a weight he had never felt before. For years, David had chased more success, more money, more recognition. He had worked 12-hour days, missed birthdays, canceled vacations. He owned 3 properties, a luxury car, and a portfolio of investments. But he hadn't slept in peace in years. His mind was always buzzing. His heart often felt tired. Could it be that this humble fisherman, with no title, no company, no stock options, was richer than him? The next day, David returned, not with advice or ideas, but with questions. He found Matteo beneath the mango tree, humming a tune. "May I sit?" David asked. Of course. They spoke for hours. Matteo shared stories of the sea, how he learned to read the currents from his grandfather. He spoke of storms and stars, of faith and family. David, for the first time in years, listened with no agenda. He felt his chest loosen, like a knot untied. "Don't you want more?" he finally asked. Matteo smiled gently. "More of what?" "Money. Security. Freedom." The fisherman looked out at the ocean. "I already have freedom. I wake when I want. I'm there when my daughter sings. I know the names of the birds. I laugh with my wife, and when the wind is right, I sail with no destination. What more is there?" David's throat tightened. His eyes burned slightly. He had been free to make millions, yet not free to rest. He had power, yet no peace. That evening, David sat alone on the sand, staring at the water. He saw his reflection, blurry and broken by the waves. For the first time, he didn't feel like a leader or a CEO. He felt like a child, lost in the noise of a world that had taught him that success was built on sleepless nights, ruthless ambition, and never stopping. But here, in this forgotten village, a man with a wooden boat had shown him a different truth. Success is not having more, it's needing less. It's not about reaching the top, but about being present where your feet are. It's the joy of a shared meal, the laughter of your children, the peace of knowing you are enough. When David returned to the city, his suitcase felt heavier, though it carried fewer things. He canceled several meetings. He stopped checking his phone at dinner. He picked up his daughter from school for the first time in months. He walked slowly, for the first time, with no rush, no destination, just to feel the wind on his face. He didn't sell his company. He didn't move to the coast. But he changed how he lived. He made time for silence. He learned to play guitar. He watched the sunrise again. And every time life pulled him back into the current of more, he closed his eyes and remembered a hammock under a mango tree, and a man who taught him that the richest people are not those who have everything, but those who are content with what they already have. Success has many faces. For some, it's a skyscraper, a suit, a seven-figure salary. For others, it's the sound of waves, a child's laughter, or dinner at home. There is no single definition of success. But there is a question we must all ask ourselves: are we chasing something that, once we reach it, simply brings us back to what we already had? Perhaps success is not something to be pursued at all. Perhaps it is something to be remembered. A good life is not measured by how far you go, but how deeply you live where you are. Let us not be so busy building a future that we forget to live the present. See you next time.